Hi everyone, Paul Morbid here, Morbid Team Entertainment and Bolex Repair Philippines. Film students, low budget filmmakers, experimental, all of those just starting out, I'm going to show you how to use your camera in many different ways for vintage filmmaking, experimental filmmaking, low budget filmmaking, that type of a thing. Okay? And it's all starting with these color bars right back here, this test pattern. You can check your grayscale and your color bars and a film test as well. Okay, so here we go. And film students, what you want to have on your wall in your studio is a set of color bars and one with grayscale, or have them separately here. This way you can perform a film test and check your glass, that means your lens. Alright, you can check depth of field, a film test for the color, grayscale, whatever you want to do, and it's always a positive and just a great thing to have on here on your studio wall. Alright? So with my experimental films, experimental horror films, and really in the tradition of Andy Warhol, Stan Brakhage, Maya Deren, Jonas Mekas, Hollis Frampton, you know, the great late artists such as those. I like to use the vintage film cameras, and with that mix in photography using vintage film cameras as well. Andy Warhol did a lot of that with his artwork, and it makes everything very interesting. So that is one thing to do. But first you have to know or send it off to be repaired. So fortunately, I can work on my own stuff. Whenever you do this, it takes time, a lot of time. This is probably how I upset my family a good bit. I make sure that I always carry a camera with me, essentially anywhere I go. And you want to get these, as I've said before, these protective cases. As you can see, I'm locking it down here. You're sealing out air, that type of thing from the elements. There's a rubber seal all the way around here. This way, I've got my camera ready to go with whatever situation I can get filmed. Who knows what type of footage that I can catch. That's the interesting part of it. And I can just grab that and I've got great footage to use in my films. One of the most interesting situations you're going to run into is you're going to have to choose the type of filmmaking style that you want to use or incorporate, develop rather, for yourself. You know, to me, I do not care about using a tripod whatsoever. I despise using tripods unless I sincerely believe the shot needs it. Okay? Most filmmakers want a tripod for all this clean, clear, whatever type of filmmaking. But, you know what? I grew up in the 70s and the 80s with experimental films when they were prominent with these late great artists. At the time, they were still around, and many times they did not use tripods. Sometimes they did. Okay? But in using the camera, you can make it as steady as you like to. Okay? And if you're going out, even if you're a journalist, and you're going out filming some of that stuff, and it used to be in the 70s and the 80s, you didn't have time to get any stabilization. You got the shot that you needed, when and how you got it. And that's exactly how experimental film was back in the 70s, 80s, and back, and that type of a thing. You got the shot, how you could get it, when you could get it, and the time allowed to capture that shot or shots. You didn't have time to set up a tripod and all that thing. You were fortunate to get what you got. And that's what we're talking about right here. And that is why today everyone wants that type of look, that type of experimental film vintage look. And that's the only way to get it. You're not going to get it by rendering all different types of effects into it and making it crystal clear. Use film. It's got to be poppy and grainy is what it's got to be. And that way, that's what's going to get the look and feel of the experimental film that you want. All right? So film students, a big tip is always be ready. Use Duracell batteries. Energizers, they're okay, but don't use these cheap crap batteries. They're going to fail on you. They're also going to corrode your battery compartment. They can also make it swell inside of there. Make sure you have a good stock of film that you're carrying inside of your case for whatever different type of images, moving images, that you could end up capturing on the street. You could come up with a whole new movie idea instantly right there, and you can make a whole new film just in seconds. And you've done it. There you are. All right? So that's pretty much it. Just make sure, as always, when you're on the street, that you got that lanyard on your camera around your wrist to prevent any type of accidents right there. No telling what can happen. All right? Do contact me at the social media outlets provided on the screen, and remember, as always, do subscribe. Until next time, later.